Okay, so today we're going to be going over the skills that matter for Amazon, specifically online arbitrage, and what could possibly be holding you back from scaling. And pretty much, if you follow these steps or you kind of think through this terminology or you apply these methods, I really think there's no way why you shouldn't scale, maybe double, triple your revenue and significantly grow, or maybe time is more important to you. So maybe double the time you get back, or cut in half the time you spend doing Amazon each week. A lot of people have Amazon OA as a side hustle, full-time job, whatever it may be. This terminology is exactly what I wish I heard when I started selling on Amazon 4 years ago. When I started scaling to 5K, 10K a month, I wish I had this video right in front of me because it would have put me miles ahead at that time. So we're going to be talking about, again, really the only skill, in my opinion, that really matters for Amazon OA. So first, I really want to go over the main skills for an Amazon business, specifically online arbitrage, the main skills that really go into your day-to-day or your week-to-week when selling on Amazon. I have it as 6, right? Mainly 5: sourcing, buying, prepping, repricing, reconciliation, right? That's all kind of goes forth when you grow into scale. But you're sourcing products, you're then buying products, you are prepping those products and sending to Amazon, you are then repricing them and getting them to sell, and then you're just doing reconciliation whenever that applies. That right there is the pretty much basic 5 steps that'll go from your day-to-day, week-to-week when selling on Amazon, in the most simple form. And then obviously the 6th one is just when you try to scale up. And now we try to think about which ones can you not get better at. So we'll step back a second. And sourcing. Sourcing is one that you definitely can get better at, and we'll talk about this is why it is the main task that you need to work to get better at, because it's the only thing that drives the lever forward. It's the first task. So buying, you can get a little bit better at buying if you're getting around order cancels, if you're become more efficient, if you're finding different coupons, finding different gift cards, whatever that may be. You can get a little bit better at buying, but generally, in the first 2 months of selling, you pretty much have that knocked down. Prepping, you don't get better at prepping. This is probably the main reason why I wish I had this video in front of my face so badly 4 years ago, because I was so stubborn to offload to a prep center. And if I had just done it earlier, it would have saved me so much time, because you look at a product that has $3 profit, 25% ROI, but if you send it to the prep center, it's 15% ROI, you don't want to buy it. And I was too stubborn to just skip past that and work to find better products. And it held me back. It might grow your business and your profit from a month standpoint. The monetary side, it might boost your profit for the month, but it's not growing your business. It's not growing the time you're getting back. It's not scaling your business. So I wish I stopped prepping earlier. This is the biggest one that held me back. But you can't really get better at prepping. You're putting units in a bag. You're labeling units, and you're just boxing them up. You don't really get faster at it. So the prep center is 100% like the most important delegation from day one. Some sellers start with a prep center, and I just wish I did that so badly. So that's obviously the 3rd one. Repricing, you can get a little bit better at. But then when I say like a little bit better with buying, like there's no SOP and Loom video that can't teach a virtual assistant to do it just as good as you do. Repricing, it generally doesn't take that much time. But if you wanted to have a virtual assistant monitor, it can be done very easily, right? But you don't really get too much better at repricing. To look at the Keepa chart, set the parameters from your min to your max, have your AI rule nowadays, and it's pretty much set and done, except for seasonal repricing, which again, you can do very easily. Reconciliation, whether you're using seller investigators or tracking yourself, you don't really get better at it, right? You just submit the invoice, inauthentic complaint, you just submit the invoice. You're not getting better at creating an invoice or adding an order to the buy sheet. You don't get better at that. It's just something you do. So you can get better at sourcing, and it'll drive your business forward because you're finding better products, you're finding more products, you're able to spend more money, and that's what grows revenue, and that's what grows your profit margin. Buying the units takes away from your time sourcing. Prepping the units really takes away from your time sourcing. Repricing, not too much, but again, a little bit. And reconciliation, again, building in invoices to reconcile lost inventory or filing for inauthentic complaints really takes away your time from sourcing as well. So it ultimately prevents your scaling. It ultimately prevents you from scaling. And what I think is so important is that you focus, and what I wish I focused on or understood is the one you can get better at is sourcing, right? On the simplest form for growing an Amazon business, whether you're at 5K a month, 0K a month, 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, still, the one thing you can get better at is sourcing, finding new loops, finding better discount codes, new ways to get better discounted gift cards or find products at a wholesale price or get around order cancels or new unhidden sites, right? It's worth it to put time into sourcing because that's what the main lever of the business is. And 5 points on your business and you start to dig into what you're spending the most time on, right? I would think most of it would be around sourcing and prepping. So again, really cut out prepping early is one of my biggest suggestions. But with virtual assistants, every other step can be done. Every other step can be done. And sourcing can be done by a virtual assistant too, so you can kind of go hand in hand. But I still think, again, the one you should be working on the most is sourcing, because then you're going to be able to make your virtual assistant better at sourcing. But, buying a virtual assistant can do. Prepping is the prep center. Repricing the virtual assistant can do. Reconciliation the VA can do. Email sorting, all that stuff the VA can do, because you can't really get better at it. It's just tedious. So it makes sense to offload it and to really focus on sourcing. So this is the one task that you truly, truly can get better at. And again, I just wish I had this video in front of me 4 years ago when I started OA and I was at 5K a month, because in that year where I grew to, 50 to 75K a month, I would have been at 150 to 200K a month if the only thing I was focusing on was sourcing and I spent the month, just delegating out every other process. So what does this mean for growing your Amazon business? More time spent on sourcing is clearly more revenue generated, because the only way you get more revenue means you get more products. The only way to get more products is by sourcing more. So it makes sense to put all of your time into sourcing when you have the basics learned and you can work to delegate. So it becomes very clear that more money made and less time worked is the result of only focusing on sourcing. Implementing virtual assistants with Amazon is so powerful and always so common, because as I've been saying this whole video, a lot of the tasks you don't get better at and you just do. It just is a tedious task that you do in your business, whether you're sorting emails, you're creating invoices, you're submitting invoices, you're logging buy orders, you're doing reconciliation for unit tracking, you're repricing, you're doing accounting from seller board, you're obviously purchasing inventory, doing missing cash back file claims, you're doing all these tasks on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis, month-to-month. They're just stuff you do because it's part of your routine. And while that's great, again, you're not improving it. It doesn't improve the business. Obviously, on a monetary side, reconciling lost inventory improves the profit in your business on a one-time or one-off scale. But again, nowadays, seller investigators, virtual assistants, they can all do that. So the main factor to drive an Amazon business rate, if you are at 5K a month right now in sales, if you are at 50K a month in sales, the only thing that matters is sourcing. Spend 1 to 4 weeks offloading everything else to a virtual assistant, have a part-time, have a full-time, depending on your workload, build SOPs for each section. Again, I have videos on this. You can go to my Instagram, you can go to my YouTube and watch past videos on how I suggest doing all of it. But on an ideal timeline right now, if I was myself 3 years ago and I was doing 50K a month, I would spend the next 4 weeks, I would build out an SOP and a Loom video and a Zoom call with my virtual assistant for each of those tasks that I talked about in my Amazon business. I would monitor for the next 2 to 3 weeks and make sure all of them are running smoothly and we can check in on a week-to-week basis. And from there on, every single day, the only thing I'm doing is sourcing. Some days that might look like no sourcing. Some days that might look like 8 hours of sourcing. But the only thing I'm focused on, the only thing I'm worrying about is sourcing. And instead of doing 50K months and 75K months, and I did, around 120 in December, I am so confident I would have been at 150 to 200, because that is the only thing I'm worrying about. And as I said, obviously offload to a prep center too. So if you're watching this, you're that seller that's below 6 figures a month. You see everyone's orange bars on Twitter. You see them on Instagram, and you wonder, you think, why can't I get there? Take this as you want. But this is exactly how I got there when I finally made that step. Make that step now, and I promise you will get there. Virtual assistants, so delegation with virtual assistants and focusing on sourcing will grow your Amazon OA business, and that is the truth. Thank you for watching.